You look to your buddies, you look to your friends.
There's only a couple guys in the whole world that make me love pro wrestling, and you're one of them.
You know, all the bad shit you've heard about us, it's all true. But another thing that's true is we love professional wrestling, and that's why we're here. I'm not sports entertainment anymore.
Talk to him, kid. This is a new beginning, and it starts tonight.
A new day is dawning for DX.
Yo, who you talking to?
Hey there, this is X-Pac 12360 on AfterBuzz TV. We're coming at you with a brand new episode. Gonna have an interview with Bushwhacker Luke coming up a little later. Plus, as usual, we've got you covered with the week's pro wrestling news headlines. We got it all here on X-Pac 12360. My name is Christy Olsen, and joining me today, we got Jimbo on the couch.
Hello, everyone. You look lovely in lace, Christy.
Why, thank you. And it actually does say right there in the script, Christy, you look lovely. So, Jimbo can read. And what's up, Mark? You don't have any instructions in the booth.
None whatsoever, but Jimbo stole my comment. You're looking wonderful today, Christy.
Oh, why, thank you, guys. And joining me in the black today, looking dapper as usual, we have WWE legend, former member of NWO, Degeneration X, The Click. Not former, current, excuse me. It's Mr. Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Hey there.
What's up?
I dare you all to get some new material. Every time, Jimbo. You look lovely today, Christy.
I make him
And then
do that.
Mark. Come on, everyone. Let's change
Sean,
things up
you
around
look
here a little
lovely
bit.
You look good in a
That's what
blazer.
I'm talking about. You know?
That's what he was fishing for.
Yes. No, it's
And it's true.
glad to have you back. We missed you last week, Christy.
Thank
Where were you?
Thank you.
Where were you?
Well, I just had to take a little trip.
Oh, just a little trip?
Just a little.
No, nothing you want to talk
little
about?
Trip. No,
Okay.
but we will definitely talk about it in the future.
Right.
But I want to talk about this WSX anniversary special. You guys really pulled it out. It was a fun show.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. Keven Undergaro really loved it. And he doesn't usually listen to the shows that don't have somebody from, his era.
Yeah.
You know? So for him to tune in and really, really dig it and considering, he didn't really know anybody on the show.
Yeah, I was sure.
So,
I'm sure he didn't watch
Yeah.
WSX. Maybe
Yeah.
now he'll go back
he
and
was
watch it.
he was really Kevin was really impressed with Kevin Kleinrock,
Yeah?
and he should be.
Oh, should we expect them to be working
I
together
don't
on an
know,
upcoming
but-
project? That's kind of how he rolls.
Well, yeah, it is. But anyways, yeah, it was fun.
It
was
seemed
fun.
like you guys were having a good time reminiscing.
Yeah, and it could have really, it could have been a mess having that many people here.
Yeah.
But I think it turned out well, and obviously, it was good listening as well as good viewing because, like I said, Undergaro enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah. That's the stamp of approval right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, right?
Totally.
Here we are because of him. Well, I want to remind everybody that if you are an X-Pac 12360 fan, you can get your t-shirts at Pro Wrestling Tees. Hit up Sean Waltman's store to get your official, Sean's got it on today, X-Pac 12360 fancy t-shirt.
Yes, I do.
You know you want one.
Hey, so you weren't here last week, Christy, and so we didn't get a chance to, and it was the WSX episode, so we didn't really get a chance to talk about much last week other than that. And, but WWE was in town. They had just me, for instance. I went to SmackDown in Anaheim, and then we saw each other there.
Yes.
And then at the Staples Center.
For Raw.
Yes, had a good time.
It was a great time.
Yeah, and there was a lot, obviously there was controversy over The Rock calling CM Punk. Yeah, I was up in the gorilla position when all that was going down.
Oh.
Yeah.
What did you see or hear?
Oh, well, it was just, basically, I'm not going to say who was on the headset saying, cut his mic. Doesn't he realize we're in a lawsuit with this guy, So, but nobody was really mad, but it was just come on, it was one of those things.
The Rock seems like he's probably got a lot of freedom.
I'm pretty sure he knew it was going to ruffle feathers and didn't really care. I'm actually 100% certain of it.
Well, there was a lot for the audience to be checking out during that time.
Yeah.
They were waiting for the ladies to come out. Tessa Blanchard is doing the wrestling for the character, and then Florence. I messed this up one time. Florence Pugh.
Oh, as
Not
Paige.
Florence Pugh. Yes. So they were waiting for the ladies to come out. And
Did you call her Florence Pooh?
I did.
Like
I did on
poo,
another
poo?
podcast. Yep. I sure did. I went to high school with a girl who spelled it the same way, and she called herself Pooh.
I thought it was Poog.
That would be better than Pew or
Than
Pooh.
Pooh.
Yeah. She better hope that catches on.
And then
change her last name.
and also what great casting, Thea Trinidad as AJ Lee.
She sounded
Unbelievable.
just like her.
She did great.
The
Fantastic.
mannerisms.
So happy for her. I really, really love Thea. You know what? I say that about everyone I bring up, don't I?
Yeah, but a lot of people were saying that about her specifically when we were there on Monday. A lot
Sure.
of people saying that they were happy for her getting this
Yes.
spot.
Yes. And a lot of people might not know this, but she is the significant other of Austin Aries. Mm-hmm. And so I know if she ends up getting a job in the WWE, I know that would make him very happy.
I'm sure it would.
Yeah.
I'm sure
She
it would.
deserves it. She deserves it. She brings a lot to the table.
Well, and just to be in the Staples Center in front of a live crowd like that, not wrestling, but wrestling and acting.
Yes.
I mean, they could have really gone south on her, and they embraced her.
Did you know the scene where she's talking in the ring? Mm-hmm. One take, boom,
Yep.
done.
I know. I was like, is that it?
Yes.
We don't do it again? Wow.
Very rare. Doesn't happen often. Mm-hmm. She dialed that sucker in.
I'm sure that impresses the people in the back. They're like, oh.
Oh yeah, I was there when they were doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody was very impressed.
A lot of whispers of this girl's got it.
The thing is you're not. There's not a ton of attaboys. You know what I mean? That are given out around there. Mm-hmm. When you do well, it's expected. You know, it's not like they don't give out participation trophies at WWE.
They don't got time for it.
Not a second for that shit. But anyways, so.
Cool. You been up to anything else extra interesting?
Oh God, I probably have, and I just can't remember now.
I know. Now it's been a couple weeks.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want? Have I? And I'm not thinking of anything.
Do you want to talk about how you're not retiring?
Oh, yeah, but that's just it. I never said I was. I
So
told.
PW
Yeah.
Insider last Wednesday printed a small kind of a story, and they said that they claim that you will not be taking indie bookings anymore starting in April. And they had their contact info there for the guy to contact if
Yes.
if people want to book you.
Yes, but what I was under the impression that they made it sound like I was done wrestling in April.
They did.
Yeah, well, that's not the case. I told my agent, Bill Barons, he's awesome. Mm-hmm. Showtime. Yeah. Oh, crap. Oh, no. Sorry. Showbiz. SHOWBIS at AOL.com.
Yeah.
Wow, that was hard for me to spit out. But I was doing it from the top of my head, though.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
I didn't realize
for me.
that's where you were going. I should have helped you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I told him, okay, quit taking wrestling bookings in April. At the end of April, I'm done taking bookings for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. I'm done wrestling independently this year. I'm done. I'm not retired. I'm not going, okay, this is my retirement. It's just, my body's just like, come on, you know?
Like a rest? you're saying?
Unless I really need the money or something like that. And I mean, you know, I'm about to be thrown out in the streets.
I don't see that happening.
Done this year unless I'm in the WWE ring.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not, like I'm said, I'm not retiring.
Taking a sabbatical.
Well, look, my body has served me very well, and I've been really, really bad to it. And it's time. And I've started recently in my life being good to it, and it's time to be even better. It deserves it.
Yeah, we saw that picture of your abs. We know you're doing the right thing.
Either that or I'm on the Keith Richards heroin diet. One of the two.
Oh, I've heard that one works for the young ladies as well.
Apparently. I wouldn't know about that lately. Anyways.
All right, well, guys, you know we are on YouTube and iTunes as well. Please like, rate, comment, and subscribe. There's 5 stars possible, just saying. Write us a little review and let us know what you think about the show. We see all of them and we appreciate them. And do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode of X-Pac 12360. This is number 26. So if you missed any one of the 26, go back and check them out. Lots of good stuff for you. And on that note, let's move into some X-Pac 12360 news of the week.
X-Pac 12360 Wrestling News.
Yeah. Is there more Wyatt family dysfunction in the future? Well, we all saw what went down last night on SmackDown as Randy Orton burned the compound to the ground. But we now know that Eric Rowan is cleared for in-ring action. He's been out with a torn rotator cuff since October, but Pro Wrestling Sheet is reporting that he now has been officially cleared by WWE to return. So we'll see how he fits into this storyline with Bray and Randy and Luke. Man, it could go either way, but they're feuding. There's some dysfunction up in this family.
I'm high on Eric Rowan. Not like, not high as in intoxicated, but like I'm a fan. Mm-hmm. He's extremely intelligent, like very high IQ, extremely high, like Mensa level IQ.
Wow.
Yes, and he's good in the ring, mm-hmm. Very good, and especially obviously for his size. But here's the thing about that: it's getting to be pretty commonplace for these big giant guys to move around the same as similar to how the guys like myself. There's guys that are 300 plus pounds and 6 foot, 8 or 6.5 feet tall or more that move better than I ever did. So, I mean, guys doing backflips and flipping into the ring. I'm like watching Brian Cage at PWG flipping into the ring and, like he's 150 pounds and the guy's just massive.
Do you like all that stuff?
I just think
some people from the classic school that think that that's not necessary.
It's impressive to me, but it really needs to be done sparingly. Else it just really looks like a guy, not staying in his lane. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, there are occasions, like even Undertaker would break out a dive. The dive to the floor on Shawn Michaels WrestleMania that year, where he took out the cameraman. So I mean,
cameraman was supposed to catch him entirely.
But you just you have to be smart about when to do it. Kane would pull stuff out too. Mm-hmm. I remember Kane diving off the top to the floor on the Mark Henry and D'Lo, and a tag match we had at a pay-per-view. It was the same one that Owen passed away in. So like, we had a hell of a match on. We opened the show. Excellent tag match with those guys, but obviously, that's one of those matches that doesn't get remembered because it was overshadowed by Owen's passing, or his not passing. He didn't just freaking pass. He was taken from us, was snatched from us. So, anyways, where was I going?
Eric Rowan.
Eric Rowan. Yeah, Eric.
He's back.
I did see a video. Eric Rowan.
Yeah, he released kind of a creepy. He's still doing the sheep mask thing. Yes. It was like 40 seconds on Twitter. Yeah. Very, very Wyatty.
Yes. Well, I mean,
is what I would. That's exactly what I wrote right here. Well, very Wyatty.
Am I missing something? Wasn't he in the Wyatt family?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of teasing. I think maybe that he still is loyal to Bray Wyatt.
Maybe that was an alternate universe somewhere.
No, because at one point he set them off on their own, and now they've come back, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. If you love something, let it free, and if it comes back, it was meant to be.
Interesting. I'm wondering what we're gonna do. I'm not wondering what they're gonna do with that. I think that okay, so we have Luke Harper. That's doing excellent, right?
Kill it.
So everyone's doing like. Hopefully, if Eric comes back and he gets in the right situation, everyone will be doing well.
Yeah.
From the Wyatt family. Braun Strowman too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like that's a pretty good.
Yeah.
The Wyatt family was a hell of a gig for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worked out well for Braun.
I like that. Burning that down. Yeah, I was listening to Road Dogg and Randy talking about that last week, and I just wanted to tell everybody that I heard him talk about it before it happened. Yeah.
Do you think they'll ever break out a Sister Abigail character?
I've been waiting for that.
Because they always
not,
reference it, but do
Right.
you think they'll actually like have a female
Would
go
it
play
be?
that character?
Oh God, I can't. I almost don't even want to tell you the thought that is it going to be like a Katie Vick type character?
Probably, hopefully not.
I don't even know what the Katie Vick character is. I just because I was really often somewhere else when that was going on, but I just know it was a dead person or something.
Yeah,
correct?
it was one of Kane's former
Yeah.
girlfriends that he killed. That then.
So doesn't that sound kind of Sister Abigail-ish? Like,
Well,
wasn't
'cause
that the implication that Randy was
Randy
giving?
was like, "Oh, she's buried under the floor," and then he lit the house on fire. So that's why last night we were talking like, "Oh, well, this means we'll never get a Sister
Was that
Abigail
to burn
character.
the bones so the ghost can't do anything like in Supernatural?
Oh, is that the idea?
I don't know.
I don't know. They just kept flashing to
Shit.
those worms, and I just was distracted.
I hope there were no maggots and worms
harmed
in the making of that
Good to know.
thing.
For real.
That thing.
It was a good one. Well, we now know someone who will not be stepping back into the WWE ring. Shaquille O'Neal says on his podcast that this alleged match that was supposed to go down with the Big Show at WrestleMania 33 probably will not happen. And most of all, he wants you guys to know that it is not his fault. He said that several times. It's not my fault. That's all you need to know. It's not totally off yet, he said, but it's not looking good. Although he still tries to trash talk a little bit and says, I look better than Big Show and I'll meet him anywhere. But he's saying, I'm not taking fault for it, but this is off. This fault is following. Big Show made some comments a few days ago where he said that Shaq is not taking this seriously and that this could be his last WrestleMania. And he really wanted that respect from Shaq to know that he was putting something into it.
It bums me out for Show because he's in some of the best. He might be in the best shape I've ever seen him at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's been way bigger and more jacked up and more muscles and more mass, but never been in this good a shape. And I think that was a motivation for it, and for that to possibly fall through, a huge disappointment. Bummer.
Well, yeah, and so now there hasn't been anything else building up for him, I think, because they've been counting on this match. So
bad
interesting to
idea
see what
though.
happened.
Bad idea to put. I don't care what is said, like in a red carpet line when you ask if you want to have a match with me at WrestleMania. You got to get the deal done before you start counting on anything. And even then, things happen. You get hurt, something like that. Come on. So.
You think they have a backup plan for Big Show? Because it would be horrible if he just gets scrapped from WrestleMania now, especially
Right.
all
Andy,
the hard work he's put in.
That and the fact that he really did business for Braun Strowman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that could have been the WrestleMania match.
I think they could still work to that. That match was so... People keep talking about that match. I think it's still a distinct possibility.
Sure. But they would have to give something back to a Show, which is something that they're not really wanting to do with Braun right now. Does that make any sense to you, Mark?
100%. Yeah.
To make that match more, of a marquee match and, geez, wonder who's going to win. Show has to get something back on him.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe that will happen.
We shall see.
Yeah.
But it does appear that Shaq is out for WrestleMania, and several wrestlers are out at TNA. Now being billed, of course, as Impact Wrestling, the Hardys, Maria Kanellis and Matt Bennett, Jade and Drew Galloway Mike Bennett. What did I say?
Matt Bennett.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Maria, Mike, they're all there. Well, they're not there. They're leaving TNA. Contracts done, over. Negotiations have broken down, and they're all gone. Rebby gave an interview yesterday, and she's kind of spilling the tea and is confirming that the Hardys are leaving. She said that the contract negotiations went up to just a few days before the deadline, and they felt disrespected by that. She said they certainly didn't intend to leave the company, that this limited schedule and the fact that the family got to travel together was really the ideal situation situation for them, and they didn't want this to happen. But she did give a nod during this interview to Dixie Carter and said that Dixie Carter knew how to talk to people and give people the respect that they need. And now the question is whether Matt will be able to take this broken brilliance along with him when he goes. And Rebby said he's not letting it go. They'll be broken wherever there is Matt Hardy. She also said that they offered to go to the next TNA tapings and give up the tag titles, but that Anthem turned them down for that. So a lot of interesting developments going on there. And of course, we now know that Bruce Pritchard is having a hand, excuse me, backstage in the creative. So a lot of changes going on there. The company's reaction to losing their biggest stars is that they were looking to freshen up the roster and that they're excited about the new talent they're bringing in.
For crying out loud. Really? I mean, I guess you got to try to spin something as best you can when it looks like, you know, everybody's like leaving the Titanic.
I was just thinking that.
That's really what it appears.
Yeah. And that's too bad because I was looking for the TNA to get its act together here. You know, Jeff had so much better understanding of how to run a wrestling company. And that, come on. What would she say again about Dixie?
She said that at least Dixie knew how to talk to people and give the respect that they needed.
At least Dixie knew how to bullshit people.
Well, she is a good Southern gal.
Oh my God. Whatever.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, but here's the thing, this is something I, when I was negotiating with TNA at one point many years back, and I told them, you know what? It costs a lot of money to be in the big time wrestling business. To have, okay, you want people to look at you like a big time wrestling company? It costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, and guess what? Right now is the first time in a long time that the talent is gaining leverage in the industry again. So, hey, that's just the way it goes. It'll go back. The pendulum will swing back again. But now,
what do you think has caused that?
It's
just
a
high
seller's
level of
market
talent
right now.
Yeah.
Yay!
Well, these high costs.
Sorry for the buyers.
These high costs for TNA to look like a big league company. Where should they be putting that money?
And into keeping their
the Hardys happy?
Yes, absolutely. There are a few guys there that are kind of household names. You'd think they'd want to keep them. You'd think.
Especially when they see how like AJ Styles, who is like the household name for TNA, is doing so well in WWE. You'd think they learn like, hey, maybe we should keep our homegrown talent here, or at least people here that are making us a higher level on getting people to buzz and talk about us. Like, keep them happy and keep them here, instead of being like, no, I don't want to.
I just, you know, as far as we need some new blood in the creative departments everywhere, you know, like to keep going back to, you know, what we knew worked 20 years ago or whatever. And I get it, man. When we're brought in to run something, we like to bring our familiar, you know, people that we're comfortable having around us. But guess what? Like sometimes it's just not the right thing to do. You know, no matter how much you love everyone and how comfortable you are having these certain people close, and you know.
So you think they should freshen up creative instead of freshen up the roster over there at Impact?
Yeah. Well, freshen up the roster too. I mean, you have to have freshness. You know, but I mean, there has to be, you know.
We're going infomercial style today. I like it.
Yeah, whatever.
I like it.
I'm done talking about TNA right now.
All right. Well, Jade and Maria, those gorgeous ladies are out, but some other gorgeous ladies of wrestling are in. Netflix released a promo and announced today that their series called Glow, about the 80s wrestling promotion, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, will be released on June 23rd. The entire season, you know how Netflix rolls. All the episodes will be released that day. And they're also adding that 2012 documentary about Glow back to the Netflix library on the 31st of March. So make sure you tune into that to gear up for it. And then June 23rd, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling are back. This is a comedy, mind you, a scripted comedy.
Scripted, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I think it's going to be good.
I was like, okay, I talked about this before about Glow and how the actual in-ring content was terrible, but like everything else was great.
No, let's talk about it.
Well, I just did.
That's pretty much it.
Well, I mean, okay, just look at like there. A lot of things like, okay, all the backstage segments and everything that were done way before anyone else did them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting everybody in a house together.
Things like that, right? So, I mean, there was a lot of really cool things about it.
I like that you knew the characters.
Yeah.
Just like look alone, okay, like this is the character you're playing.
Mount Fiji.
Yeah. Oh, so many. Tina Ferrari.
That was Ivory.
Yeah, Hollywood and Vine. There's so many good. The
Little Egypt,
Housewives.
network.
There's so many good characters.
It was so ahead of its time with Housewives and putting everybody in a house together, man.
Remember the Housewives, the actual tag team, the Housewives?
Yeah, that's what. And then they were Chainsaw and oh man, I can't think of her other name. But they played multiple characters.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
they were awesome.
All right.
That's cool. I can't wait for this. Allison Brie and Chavo Guerrero was involved in the wrestling aspect of it. It's going to be good.
And Mondo Guerrero helped train the original Glow.
That's right.
So that's cool that they kept a Guerrero around.
If there was something going on in Hollywood, something, wrestling related, fight scene related, it would go first to Judo Gene LaBelle, and if he passed on it, it would go to the Guerreros.
Really?
Yeah, Mondo. Yeah, as far as stunt coordinating.
Wyatt, Gene
Remember,
LaBelle
didn't you? Yeah, Gene LaBelle is still the man.
Was always the first go-to.
Yes.
And then if he's just like, I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah, that was just like, don't you remember us talking about WSX?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gene LaBelle was, passed on it.
Oh.
And Mondo Guerrero came in and collected a check, Dave Marquez said.
Yep. Well, because really there was nothing for him to do. What was he actually going to do?
Yeah, because all those people already knew.
We don't need.
How to take notes and everything.
But that's just how it works. You have to grease all the right people to make sure the all
wheels
the
are rolling.
cogs.
Yeah.
All right.
Love that. Well, this has been your X-Pac 12360 News of the Week. I'm Christy Olson, the AfterBuzz TV managing editor and chief correspondent of our Pro Wrestling News Division, and we will be right back with an exclusive interview with Bushwhacker Luke. Stay tuned.
What's up, party people? Roxy Stryer here from The Tomorrow Show with Keven Undergaro. We're your twice-weekly broadcast of one man's midlife crisis and the mad millennials in Star Trek uniforms that follow him.
And I'm one of those millennials, Lauren LaGrasso here. We've had some amazing guests like Russell Simmons, Ileana Douglas, and Craig Gass. Coolio, right?
Christian Blatt in the house to tell you to go to thetomorrowshow.com to check us out. We're live every Monday and Thursday from 10 to midnight Eastern. That's thetomorrowshow.com. Be there or be square, whatever that means.
We're back with more X-Pac 12360, and joining us now, after starting a career in his native New Zealand, he has been wrestling for over 50 years. Alongside his tag team partner and cousin Butch, they scored championships at Stampede Wrestling and NWA as the Sheep Herders, then went marching into WWE, where he had a very memorable Royal Rumble moment and was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2015. He's now the owner of Clearwater Beach Fitness Gym in Florida and is in unbelievable shape. He loves his yoga on the beach. Please welcome to the show, Bushwhacker Luke.
Yeah. All right.
Whoa, g'day mateys, and it's great to be on your show, Sean.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Luke. Oh my God. Oh shoot! When Christy told me he agreed to come on, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good." Oh yes. Hey,
yeah.
What?
Great to be there, mate.
You're at the gym, Luke. When did you?
I'm sitting.
When did that
I'm
become?
Sitting in my office at the gym.
When did that become your gym, Luke?
I I was in Puerto Rico for 13 years.
Yeah.
With IWA. Yeah, and that when I came back in 2013, I was walking around. The second day back, I was looking around at these 24-hour fitness places. You know, YouFit, LA Fitness, and Anytime Fitness. And a guy, remember the restaurant I used to have by the Buck Stadium?
Yeah.
Bushwhackers down under. Well, the manager of that rang me up. He says, "Come for a drink." And I said, "I'm looking for a gym." And he must have said it out loud, "Looking for a gym at 10 o'clock." And the guy in the background says, "Tell him to stop looking. He can have his own." And I thought that was a joke. And anyhow, the guy ended up. He owns the Plaza. Hulk Hogan shop is right underneath.
Yes.
On Clearwater Beach, Florida.
Yeah, I've been there, Luke. I don't know if you remember me coming by there. And
yeah, of course you do. Of course I do, mate.
Yeah, I didn't. The Hulk store is there, and I just thought it was all kind of one thing. I thought the gym and Hulk store were kind of combined. No.
No.
Ah, okay. I was mistaken. Sorry about that.
This is up here at Hulk's got that place down there. And at the end of this month, Hulk is opening his new place. Hopes to have it open a week before, maybe the 20th of March. Hopes to have his new store open in Orlando.
Yeah.
Just on International Drive.
Oh wow, on International Drive. That's where everything is.
Mm-hmm. What is it going to be?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a gym, a restaurant?
What kind of place is it?
No, it's a store like it's memorabilia store, but this one is going to be. He's got his Viper, his WWE Viper in there. He's got an NWO motorbike. It's going to be really decked out.
Oh, very cool, very cool. So, hey, Luke, I was talking to Christy and Jimbo here on the couch, and I asked them because I couldn't remember. I thought I was sure that you started with when Jim Barnett was running in New Zealand and Australia, or no?
He was in Australia.
Australia, yeah.
He came to Australia in '65 when the R&R started coming in from Vietnam. 65 to 72. I started in '62, but at that time we were only running when an American or a European wrestler come over. They would come for about 3 months, run 2 shows or 3 shows a week, and we would run then. But it wasn't until '66 that we started running full time, and that's when I started going over to Jim Barnett in Australia and working for Jim. I never threw a punch or a kick, because it was really European style,
right.
style, uppercuts and knee drops and that. We never threw. And then when I went over to work for Jim, we had 4 ropes. I mean.
Oh yeah.
And the rings were like a boxing ring.
Yes.
There were 4 ropes, and the floor was like it's a boxing ring. Anyhow, later on by 70 when Jim left Australia in '72 and came over to New Zealand for a year or so before he come back to the States. And, his company was WCW.
Right.
He was the originator of WCW. Anyhow, that's when I learned to kick and punch. We used to wrestle. We didn't even use the ropes. We chain wrestling and all that BS. And all of a sudden, I'm in American style wrestling, kicking and punching and just working one hold.
I was just gonna say, all that chain wrestling really came in handy later in your career, didn't it, Luke?
that was different. Those days were completely different.
Right.
Left and right side, mate.
Oh, you were working that side too?
Right.
Oh, see, a lot of people that are listening, they don't realize that, pretty much everywhere in the world, everyone works the left side of the body. And
I just know this from you talking about it before.
And only in Mexico do they work on the right side. But apparently that you guys worked on the right side
European style. Yeah, we did it. It was different, mate. We worked either side.
Wow.
And hardly ran to the ropes. You never did coming off the ropes or anything like that. That was very rare.
Is that why?
Put the guy up against the ropes and tie him up in the ropes and that sort of stuff.
Sure. Did you ever work for Ricard in New Zealand at all? Steve Ricard?
Yeah, Steve Ricard, yeah. I started earlier, well before, with Al Hobman, who was a Mr. New Zealand in 1950, and then Steve, when Jim Barnett came over, that's when Alan sold his company, and Steve took over. Steve was running against Alan, but small time.
Right.
Then he took over, and that was Jim Barnett, and that's when all the Americans started coming in. But before that, we had Andre Butch and me wrestled all around the country.
Yeah.
When he was 350 with a big afro. And
yeah, of course.
Killer Kowalski, we wrestled a lot. Well, I didn't wrestle against him in Australia because I was a heel, but when I come to Canada in '71, I wrestled against Killer a lot then.
You mean
Kowalski.
When you first came here to the West, was it Calgary? Was that your first territory you came to?
No, it was Grand Prix.
Oh, for Emile Dupree.
No, Emile was a spin-off.
Oh, okay.
The original Grand Prix was the Vachons opened that up, and that in 1970, 71, Andre came over, and that was Andre was the main babyface. Kowalski was the main heel, and we'd both known them. So when we came in, they were running 3 towns a night, and Rougeau's were running 1 town a night. So Quebec and Ontario were getting 4 wrestling shows a night.
That's so cool. What do you have some favorite memories from that time and working with those guys?
Well, some crazy ones. Like they're off the wall. The stories I've got with some crazy Buddy Roberts and that when they were and Humperdinck and that with the Fabulous Blondes, Jerry Brown and Dal Roberts. They were wild.
Oh yeah, Carrie.
They throw furniture out 6 stories out. Maisonneuve Avenue runs parallel with St. Catharines in Montreal, and there was 3 lanes of traffic either way. Maisonneuve Avenue. They lived on the 6th floor. They'd throw furniture out and watch it bounce off roofs of cars.
God.
Wow.
You used to, so you
Wild
guys,
stuff.
Luke, you guys stayed on St. Catherine Street in Montreal. That's like known.
We stayed on Maisonneuve.
I was gonna say
Maisonneuve.
St. Catherine Street
St.
is
Catherine's a main street.
Yeah, that's like where all the nightlife is and all all the beautiful nude ladies and things of that nature.
Crescent Avenue was just off. That's where all on the west end. Crescent Avenue was with all the bars, one bar after another bar after another bar. That's just off St. Catharines.
Hey, Luke, when you came over and you started working for the Vachons Grand Prix in Montreal, was Dino Bravo and was he working there? Or was he working for Rougeau's?
Dino was 18 years old then.
Yeah.
19 years old, tall, about 210. Tall hair and that, yeah, he was just starting. Gino Brito and Dino Bravo were a tag team.
Yeah.
The Hollywood Blondes, they were insane, mate. Jerry Brown and Dale Roberts, as you know, Dale Roberts, the crazy things he used to do, he was wild.
Oh, yeah.
Completely wild. The ribs were heavy, too, the heavy ribs, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Halliburton suitcases, the $600. A $400 suitcase in those days in 1970 nailed to a big bench with a big 6-inch nail. And the guy got to pick it up and, $400 case would be ripped to pieces.
Oh, sure.
And that suits, Vachons would wear. Mars Vachon was a man, you're wild and that, but he used to wear suits and that all the time, and they'd cut all the legs. So when he put his suit pants on, the leg would fall off and all that shit. The Hollywood Blondes did wild stuff.
That sounds like Kurt Hennig ribs, making Bermuda shorts out of people.
I know they were nasty. They were nasty and that to people. People were hitchhiking across Canada and that. They'd pick them up and that, and then they'd start being very gay in the car, and the people would try to dive out of the car while I was rolling.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard those. I've heard those
crazy
ribs.
ribs.
Yes. Yeah, no, and it got even way worse than that, Luke. From the stories that I heard from even my teacher and some of the older guys, but I guess.
Yeah, they're really.
Yeah.
Do people still play ribs in wrestling now?
No, not in WWE. Like I asked him that, Luke. Like I asked him that when most recently I asked somebody, "Does anybody rib anymore?" And they're like, "Oh no, nobody does that."
Like those kids couldn't take the rib.
No.
In my next territory is the Hearts territory, and the ribs, the kids, the Hart kids. This is before Brett was only 12, 13 then.
Right.
But Smith and Bruce.
Smith Hart.
And he's nearly dead now, God bless him, with cancer right through his body. But Smith and Wayne, not Wayne, he's dead now, the original, the
Dean?
little one, he died
Dean.
of liver.
Yeah.
Dean and that, their ribs were so heavy and that, on the road and that, and they were wild ribs.
Yeah.
Heavy ribs, you know what I mean?
Oh, very.
Guys handcuffed to the post way out in the country with the snowing and all that. They'd set guys up, in the dressing room and things that happen. And, that's where the Mabel rib eventuated. A lot of ribs eventuated up in the early 70s from Calgary.
Did anybody ever rib you guys?
No. Even in the basement of Stu's home, we used to go there every Sunday to put the week together.
Right.
He never asked us to go in the basement, but I seen guys in the basement shit their pants and their veins pop in their eyes and that. And Stu wouldn't take the hold. He'd get you to go down your knees and
That's
put
right.
it on and tell you to fight out of it.
That's right.
I guess you heard plenty of tapes that Brett used to tape them when he was a kid, and he still used to bring them to a dressing room.
That's right.
You'd hear Stu go, fight it, kid.
Oh, and they'd be screaming. Do you know who I heard one time had that happen to him, and I heard the tape, was Joe LeDuc's nephew, like Carl LeDuc? Yeah, oh my God, it was awful.
Paul.
Is that the show some discipline tape?
Oh, I guess.
Or is
I don't know.
Stu's just like, show some discipline.
So how come...
Sailor White, too.
Oh,
Sailor White was a hardy newfie.
Yeah.
You heard of Sailor White? He was one of the Moondogs, original Moondogs. And he was a hardy newfie, 275, 280. Crazy. Jump off the top rope at 280, anywhere into the crowd. And that is, Stu put him down. And Stu, you could hear Sailor screaming. And that, Stu would sit on him. Stu was the old amateur, very thick in the thighs and the hips. He had that balance there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And he would sit on you, make you.
Luke, how did you and Butch avoid the dungeon? How did you guys not end up down there?
No, he liked us. We do big money for us. Hey, I got to tell you a story.
Yeah.
We started. We couldn't tell the story on the Hall of Fame, but we had to make it soft though. We told short stories on there. Okay, so after we finished in Grand Prix, the next territory they said Stampede. We never heard of Stampede. We were two kids from New Zealand. We'd worked in Singapore and Japan and for Stu and for Jim Barnett and that, but we never heard of Stu Hart and his 12 kids. Next minute, we arrive on Friday or Thursday night in Calgary. Friday they do the fairgrounds. There's two arenas in the fairgrounds. It was the Corral and the Pavilion.
Yeah.
Now the Corral is the big one.
The Saddle Dome?
What is it called now?
The Saddle Dome?
Have a Saddle Dome, yeah. Anyhow, we didn't know. So Friday night you tape at the Pavilion and it shows 10 o'clock Saturday morning. We're in the ring against the champions, whoever they were, and we get DQ'd. We hadn't met Stu yet, because the booker was Archie Goldie.
Oh, so, the Mongolian Stomper.
So we had a flagpole, the Kiwi flagpole. We're beating them both up and that, and they're laying there. Next minute, fucking kids, 4 kids are thrown in the ring. 2 are bleeding, and we hear this guy, champ, beat him up, champ. And we couldn't tell. When we were told them who at the Hall of Fame, we had to say 4 young wrestlers were thrown in the ring. Well, they weren't even wrestlers. These were Stu's young kids.
Oh, crap.
You know, one was 10 or 12. The oldest was 13 or 14. This was Brett, and I didn't even think Owen was one of them. He was too young. And 2 of them had been gigged. They were bleeding. And it was Abdullah. Abdullah thrown them in.
I knew it.
Abdullah from before.
Hey, Luke, I knew it. When you said somebody was saying champ over and over again, I knew that was Abby, because that's the only one that talks like that.
Yeah, I was with him 2 weeks ago in Columbus.
Wow.
Still those shiny bright eyes and that. Anyhow, he threw them in, and we kicked the shit out of them. And now we headed back to the dressing room. We left 4 kids and 2 other wrestlers laying there. And there was Stu at the doors at the back of the pavilion. What the fuck? What the hell are you doing? And then he said, well, hey, Abby fed these kids in a told to put the boot to them. And he said, they're my kids.
Oh,
anyhow, the chime in the story is that weekend was a double shot. They did it 3 times a year. They did the pavilion on the Friday night, the show on Saturday morning, and we came back in the corral or the Saddle Dome on Sunday afternoon. It was a winter. So this is the first time we ever, within 2 days, 3 days, we came out. We didn't have drawing heat, but we had heat with the people because all the people knew Stu's kids. You know, he was a promoter.
So that drawing heat, like, there are 2 distinct kinds of heat, right, Luke?
Yeah, there was heat. We had heat with the people. They were throwing stuff and everything, but you know, we didn't have the power of drawing a house yet. You know,
right?
Another 3 weeks, and then we were, you know, we had the power, and that was 1972, 73, and then I came. We had 6 weeks off between 2 territories. We're working in Hawaii, and then we're going to Donald. We're in Japan, and we're going to Japan, and I called Stu up and that's when Dynamite Kid first came in. Davey Boy hadn't come in yet, but Dynamite Kid, and we teamed up with Dynamite Kid. We were the British Connection, New Zealand being a British country.
Sure.
We were against Brett had just started. Brett, not Smith, Bruce, and Stu. We worked in Calgary and Edmonton against Stu in a 6-man.
How was that?
So there's not many people. Stu did those old sliders.
Yeah.
Where he puts you in the corner and they slide past, either the fist slides past your ear and the elbow clips you on the jaw.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan. I got to be honest with you, Luke, and I know, and you know, I love Stu, but I wasn't a fan of those. I thought they looked bad and they hurt.
Oh yeah, they hurt. Yeah, but you know, he hardly came in the ring, mate.
Right.
You know, the other 2 kids were. Brett was as green as, well, you know, his first year in the business, but he had the most knowledge. You could work with Brett, where Bruce would cry if he had to sell. He was a blonde-headed, good-looking kid. He didn't like us getting heat on him. He always wanted to get the heat on the other guy, and he made the comeback. But we suggested all the time, being the blue-eyed, blonde-headed kid, let's beat him up and do the angles with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're right. Like his rep is he didn't like to sell. Like even when he was in a tag team with Brian Pillman, they were called like, oh crap, what were they called? Top Guns or Bad Company. They were also called Bad Company. But anyways, yeah, he didn't like to sell then either. So you're right about that.
Bruce.
Yeah,
no.
Bruce. No, not Pillman. Bruce.
No, he didn't. Yeah, Bruce had a bit of a, you know, and I like Bruce as a person.
Oh yeah.
But he had a hard on, and you know, there's books and that, they all wrote against Brett and Owen, you know, they all separated. You know what I mean? Owen and Brett got along well, but the rest of them, they had a bit of a hard on, you know.
Did you ever see them fight with each other?
No, but I've been in the ribs. I've been involved with a lot of ribs.
Yeah.
When I got back to the hotel, and Stu's on the phone. Well, you know, he's laughing in the background, but what the fuck are you doing? He's calling us up because we drove with one of the half, and it was either Mulo ringing up, complaining what we did with girls, or someone who was flying, the agent would be ringing up Stu, complaining about the ribs.
Yeah, and sometimes you would think you were on the phone with Stu, and it would be one of the other kids imitating him.
Yeah. It'd be the kids imitating, but some heavy ribs too.
Hey, so
we had two great midgets there too. Back in those days, the early days with Skylar Low and Little Beaver.
Yep.
They were insane.
Oh, yeah. Little Beaver, some people might know him from when he got squashed by King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 3. Or 2, was it 3?
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw
Queen
that.
of the Steam.
Yeah.
Queen of the Steam.
So, hey, Luke, you were mentioning that you were stopping in Hawaii, like in between Japan. Was that for Maivia, Leah Maivia?
No.
Peter?
Steve Rickard bought Japan off. His son was in the paid for the Patriots. I forget the guy.
Russ Francis, Bill Francis.
Huh?
Russ or Bill Francis?
Yeah, Francis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were working for him, and then Steve came in and bought it, and he didn't know what he was doing there, and that went down, because Francis had a good rapport with the Japan.
Yeah.
So all the talent coming between Japan and the States, it'd all stop over there for a week or so. But we were doing 5 islands a week. Every night we'd fly in low over Diamond Head and see Jack Lord doing Hawaii 5-0.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And hey, wasn't Francis involved with Portland? Because I could have sworn I remember seeing him there a lot.
Yeah, the kid there, he came in, off season, he worked in the ring, right? Russ worked in the ring. He between season, he loved to wrestle. And he come into Portland, that was a territory. Now, there was a territory that I was in from 78, 79. There was Jimmy Snuka was just leaving. There was, God bless him, listen to this.
Yeah.
Jimmy Snuka, Adrian Adonis, Roddy Piper, Buddy Rose, they're all dead.
Yeah, I was watching a match with you and Butch versus Adrian and I think it was Roddy or somebody.
Ron Starr.
Ron Starr. That's who it was. Ron Starr. I knew it. I don't know why I confused him with Roddy. Anyways.
Yeah, but there were.
You guys were baby faces then, huh?
No, we turned heel just when we left. We turned babyface when we left the territory. We were there for a year and a half,
right?
And that is a small territory, and that. But Roddy told me later that we had was Rick Mansell and Roddy Piper against me and Bush. We had 22 consecutive sellouts.
Oh yeah, and you got.
That's for. Sometimes we would do a Tuesday.
Yeah.
We'd do a Saturday and a Tuesday. The Buddy Rose was the single, and we were the tag, and we're going to 6-man, and then Roddy and Ricky would bring the Giant in. They'd bring, Jesse was just leaving when we came in there.
Right.
Jesse Ventura, Jesse could talk a house. He could talk the people into the arena.
Luke, was Larry the Axe and Kurt Hennig there at the time?
No.
That was after.
Dad had been in there. The dad had been there. Kurt hadn't been there yet. I don't think Kurt had been there. He went in there in 81.
Oh, wow. So, but you guys left, you turned babyface right before you left. Is that the only time you were ever babyfaces before you went to WWE?
Yeah, yes. That was the only time ever.
Wow.
But we went back in 675 back to New Zealand after having a 5-year run in Canada.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of newspaper, a good rapport with, newspapers in New Zealand and all that.
Sure.
And Steve Rickard, the booker was Mark Lewin.
Yeah.
And they brought us back as heels.
Mark
Lewin.
Lewin.
Can you believe that? They brought, because he was a baby face, and he didn't want to, and I like Mark, because he's still alive. And that, but Rick Martel, there was the baby faces were Rick Martel and and Mark then, and then later on Don Morocco came in.
Sure. And
They're all babies.
Huh.
That was in New Zealand?
Canada.
In Canada? In New Zealand? No, in New Zealand. So how did you make your way back to the United States?
I know we in 78, we came back in 75, and we got sick of it. We had to get back to the States because you only go so far in New Zealand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same circuit all the time, and that, you know, it's just like the world knows about Hollywood. Everybody, actors want to get to Hollywood, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, sure.
You're right there now.
Exactly. That's what.
The same, you know, wrestling. The United States was the Hollywood of wrestling. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
All the we didn't have wrestling on television or anything, and the magazines. Everyone was from the States and all the magazines. There was Bill Apter's magazines come to New Zealand. George Napolo's magazines come to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah, George, I still talk to him all the time.
Yeah, I see him too. I love George. I really love George. He's a great guy. Hey, Luke, you know, when you guys were in Portland, you were sporting a different look. I mean, I remember am I wrong in remembering that I actually saw you guys wearing tie-dye stuff at one point, and your hair was long. You kind of look like hippies, actually.
Yeah. Now we were wearing tights, and that when we first came to Portland, and then we changed the army. That's where we changed the whole army get-up.
Right.
In Portland.
That's funny.
In 1979, we came in wearing tights. We were Sweet William and the Brute when we first rode to Canada, and they changed Brute because the Brute had already been in Canada. So they changed him to Nick Carter, Crazy Nick Carter. So it was Sweet William. It was Beauty and the Beast. I led Butcher out on a collar and chain.
Sweet William and the Brute. Who came up with that one?
Yeah. That was us.
That's a good. Oh, that was a good. I mean, that was a really good one. I like that.
No, that was Sweet William. It was Sweet William and the Brute, and I did him in a dog collar. When I let him off the collar, he would go crazy. That's what we did in the 60s in Singapore and all around that way.
Right.
You know, in the Far East.
Yeah. Oh wow. You know, I don't hear a lot of guys talking about those. The wrestling like in that area, like in Singapore and Malaysia and all that. But I know like you know, King Curtis, Mark Lewin.
We worked up there a lot. Singapore, Penang, all those where Cassius Clay had one of his fights.
Right.
Sort of Manila. We worked all through that area a lot because Steve Rickard was friends with the original King Kong, and he ran all that area, you know, Malaysia.
What was business like in those areas?
Oh, crazy, mate, crazy.
Did they have
drive up through the jungle? We drive up through the jungle after curfew time. We weren't supposed to be on the road after 5 o'clock.
Right.
You'd hear rat-a-tat-tat. You'd hear the machine guns in the jungle. The Vietnam War was on.
Oh,
you know, we'd drive right up north. You know. You leave Singapore and then start driving up Malaysia, or was called Asia in those days. Asia.
Yeah. And did they have any any local stars that they tried to build a promotion around? You know, like a Malaysian star.
Yeah, they had local guys. King Kong was a local guy. They had a local drawer.
Huh.
He was 5 for 480 pounds. You know, and then they had local Indians. You know, they had the local. Lot of Indians there.
The indigenous people?
And then the local Singapore guys.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, we worked with a lot of them. And the stadiums too. You'd work the stadium for 3 nights in a row. Then you go to the next big stadium in the next city. And you'd run for 3 nights in a row.
Wow.
That's in the mid-60s, the late 60s.
Huh. So how come that ended up dying?
Mark and King stole it all. Mark and King were well known at going into places and you know, for a promoter,
right.
and then finding out who the money man is and going back and running themselves, and they'd hot shot it.
Okay.
Clean the promoter out.
So talking about all these different territories you were in, What was it like to see Vince come in and just like pick all the top talent and pretty much just take everything from the territories, which pretty much started the territories disbanding?
Yeah, I was booking in territory before WWF. I was booking in territories, and then all of a sudden, he was starting to take all the top talent out of the territories. But I had already stopped booking. I was in NWA. I booked from 80 right up to 86. I had a short run in Carolinas, and we walked out. We didn't walk out. We gave them 3 months' notice. That was 81.
3 months.
And I didn't realize you don't give Jim Crockett notice. He tells you when to finish up.
Right.
And I didn't know the politics and that. And he'll say, "I'll bring you back in 2 years," and that. Well, we got a deal in Puerto Rico. So we gave him 3 months notice, and we had the belts.
Yeah.
And after that, he wouldn't hire us till he bought out. Bill Watts got caught with a girl, and
Dark
whatever.
Journey.
Bill had to sell the Dark Journey.
Yeah.
Had to sell the territory, and we were the champion. We had beaten Doc and Ted DiBiase, and we were their champions.
Yeah.
So that's how we got back into Crockett's territory. And we were only there for 6 months, and we got the call from Vince. So in between time, I was booking, and everywhere we're going, all the top. This is when the territories, all the top talent. First territory, of course, that Vince hit, because he had a heart on, was from where you were from, Minneapolis.
Oh,
Minneapolis out first.
I'm from Tampa as well, Luke. So I thought maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he hit them too.
No, he cleaned. He cleaned Minneapolis out first.
Oh yeah.
Junior in '83.
Yeah, he took guys just to take them too. Like he didn't even use Mad Dog, and he just took them just to take them. So like,
Ken Patera. Yeah. He took Bobby Heenan, Mean Gene,
Jack
Hulk
Lanza.
Hogan. Yep.
Yep. Jesse Ventura. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Then he went to Bill Watts' territory, and he cleaned that out. The first load. Didn't clean it completely out, because he left Ted there, and he left Jake there, but he took the Dog, and, Junkyard Dog, he took Bundy, he took One Man Gang.
Wow. Yeah. So, but.
Yeah.
Hey, Luke, I wanted to mention this to you. I wanted to mention this to you a few minutes ago. My image when I guess when average people that aren't wrestling fans, when the word sheep herder is said, they don't picture like these crazy badass militant guys in camos, like just bludgeoning guys almost to death. Like that was my image when I heard the name sheep herder.
Yeah, that a lot of people afterwards said, "How could you go from the most hardcore violent team to doing the Bushwhackers?" And that was easy, going from wrestling to becoming entertainment. It was becoming from a wrestler to a celebrity.
Yeah.
Vince turned you from a wrestler to celebrity, and that they said, "How could you do it?" And I said, "Fucking money talks. We're professionals."
Exactly. And come on, isn't it all about making the people react? Getting a reaction from the people.
Yes.
And that was, come on. I've been in there with you guys. I've been in matches with you guys, and it was the easiest match that got the most reaction, damn near, of any match in the card.
Why is that?
Yeah, it's entertaining because we work for the people. We didn't work for ourselves.
We talked about getting the call finally from WWF. Who made that call, and what did they say, and were you excited about it? How did that all go down?
I was, Christy, I was sending tapes, and I was sending Betamax tapes. And if you go back in time, you ever heard of Betamax?
Oh, yeah. The big ones.
No, the small, actually, Betamax.
The tiny ones.
Yeah, Betamax was. Sorry, go ahead, Luke.
I was sending those betas into the dad, Vince Sr., in 72, 73. And then, we just shot an angle with, we'd been working with rock and roll in NWA, and we just shot an angle with Lex Luger and Barry Windham, and we're up in Cincinnati, and I went to the phone box, and we were working out of the gym, and of course I never worked on the boiler. I never worked the core. Butch did.
He's talking about ab work.
Yeah, the abs. The core, the boiler. Anyhow, I got my phone call, and I was picking up my messages from Charlotte, where we live, and it was a Pat on the phone. She'd called this number. Pat who? As soon as possible. And I didn't know who Pat it was. So I called this Pat guy, and he says, Pat Patterson, he says, I'm in the room here, I'm going to put you on speakerphone. I got someone to speak to you. And it was Vinnie Mac. He got a Kiwi, and it was Vinnie. He says, we're interested in you guys and that. And when you give a day off, can you come up? Can you come up? We'll have the tickets. And I says, the funny thing is, we haven't had a day off, and we've got Wednesday off. He says, when you get home on Monday, this is a Saturday, the tickets will be delivered. They'll be on your doorstep on Monday.
Nice.
Did you know?
Did you know Pat from Montreal?
No, I never did.
Oh, so you didn't know Pat before that?
He worked for Rougeau's.
Okay.
He worked for Rougeau's. That's why Jock Jock got away with a lot because of the Rougeau, the dad.
Right.
Pat and
for sure.
Pat and Jock Senior and Jack Rougeau, they were the brothers. The dad.
Yeah, is that why everyone thinks Pat was in on the Jacques beating up or hitting Dynamite, sucker punching Dynamite thing?
It could have been made. Who knows?
Yeah.
So you get the call, and you guys are coming. You talked a little bit about changing from this violent gimmick to something more comedic. Was that presented to you right away?
Vinny says to us that I want you to be, first he says, I want to change your image to the good guys. And fucking Butch got up on the desk. His nose was about 15 to 18 inches from Vince's. And he says, if you can make these faces, baby faces, go ahead. And he says, Vince said, take a look at the mushes of my top baby faces. Hogan, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He says, they're not the prettiest.
Yeah. And hey, he was right.
Yeah, and I, of course, I piped up, being old school. I says, fingers in his heels and turn us, babyface. And you don't tell Vinnie Mac what to do. That's old school.
Yeah.
I was being too old school then. He brought us in. He said, I'm going to bring you in for a month doing vignettes. Bring you in once a week, and we'll cut 4 or 5 vignettes. Because those days he had a USA Network, plus he had affiliated television. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
NBC or ABC, and that as well as USA Network. So, he had about 3 different shows a week on.
Was there another? Hey, Luke, was there another angle to him wanting to hire you guys besides the fact that you were a great tag team and excellent? Well, just great talents. I mean, did it have anything to do with you guys being from New Zealand, or was there an angle?
Yes. I'll tell you why. Because they just got rid of the British Bulldogs. They had no British, team from the British. We're not a British accent, but there you are. The timing was right there. That's when Jock had just punched Dynamite, knocked his teeth out, and that's when they got. That's when we came in.
And do you think that it was still trying to capitalize on the popularity of the Crocodile Dundee movies? Were they still hot?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No, that was it. All the vignettes we did at the start, that was strictly the cars on the wrong side of the street. Yeah. We'd never seen a pop machine before, and we'd put the money in the machine, and I'd pop the top with my teeth and all the bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We threw the knives and forks away and ate with our hands in restaurants.
I know they tried to bring in this guy Outback Jack, and it failed miserably before that. Know anything about that?
Yeah. But Outback, Aussies are better. I should say this. Everything you've done, Aussies have done better.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, he had that attitude too. You know what I mean?
He paid for it too.
And of course, they ripped him so much too, mate. The Bulldogs, and they cut his crocodile off the back of his jacket. They dropped Halcyon in him all the time.
Halcyon on a really hardcore sleeping pill. Yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they just ripped him so heavy and that, and to top it off, Vince had to get a crocodile head, which he bought from down under. He got it brought over and that, and cured, and put on the back of a jacket for him. The crocodile head, and Davey Boy cut it off and gave it to Neidhart.
Wow.
Yeah, and
that's how it was, man. That's how it was back then.
Yeah. Joe LeDuc came into. Joe LeDuc was a great friend of mine. I had him in all the territories I booked, and Vince knew that he was a heavy drinker and a partier.
Yeah.
Told him, you can drink, don't drink in bars, drink in the room, and the fucking the dogs got him into a bar. I think it was in Philly at the Marriott at the airport and they had him loaded up on bills and they were putting cigarettes out on his head. You hear the skin, the sizzle, and his stumping cigarettes out on his forehead.
That's just rotten to the core, man. Like, I mean, I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't care how miserable I would be. I couldn't do that.
But Hawk would do that too. Hawk would get so it was loaded up and that, and on the slime and that, and he'd tell the guys to be tough. He'd say, "Put your cigarette on my head."
Oh, Hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Road Warrior Hawk. But he would have them do it to him. He wouldn't do it to others.
No, he'd get them to do it to him.
Yeah.
So what's the right way to react when
the dogs,
Outback Jack?
The dogs would do. Hey, I was in there. They gave the manager up in Calgary, the old hardcore manager,
J.R. Foley. Yeah.
John Foley. He was a little guy, 175, cauliflower nose and cauliflower ears.
He was a badass.
Drop Halcyon, they'd dye his hair blue. They'd shave his eyebrows off. In the hotels, they'd put the Coke machines over his door. So when he went out to his hotel room drunk, he couldn't get in his room. If he did get in his room, his mattress would be in the bathtub, and the bathtub would be filled up with water.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
They give him hell.
All of that sounds very familiar.
Was a tough old bastard.
And here's the thing, and I think they probably liked John because he was a snake pit guy. He came from like the toughest gym.
Wiggum.
Yeah, Wiggum, the snake pit. Yeah, and he was a badass. J.R. Foley, John Foley, and that's how they treated him.
Well, we would stop in these big truck stops in Canada, and there's all these logger guys. What are they called now?
Lumberjacks.
Guys who work the lumberjacks and that big tough bastard. He get down on his hands and knees and say, "Who could take me, you big bastards? Come on, don't be a fool in court. Try and take me." This is 3 in the morning and he's drunk and he's on his hands and knees in the truck stop calling these guys out.
Yeah.
So, when Outback Jack gets the crocodile cut off the back of his jacket, what's the best way to react to that to not keep, worse ribs coming your way? Do you then...
You don't sell it.
You just don't...
You don't sell it, man.
Team no sell.
Yes. Am I right?
He was so green. He was running around and that, blah, blah, blah. He didn't know what to do. They had him going down the lobby, they'd lock him out of his room, drop Halcyon in his drink, and he'd be walking around in the lobby in the Sheridan in Stamford, Connecticut, where the office is, with no clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Out of it.
and he wasn't very good in the ring, though, Luke. He might have fared better if he would have been able to bring something to the table once he walked through the curtain.
Mate, guys with a gimmick like that, is he can smoke a mirror. I've had a lot of guys work for me. have had a great character that couldn't work in the ring, but they could talk and you could get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they were
Ric
probably
Flair,
nice
David
guys.
Flair. I drew money with David Flair.
Yeah.
And I'm not being nasty, but he was terrible in the ring. Really bad. We got him doing the wool, the dad's wool, and the interview saying, "Dad, I got the woman around me, I've got the belt," and we got how we drew houses with him, short matches with guys working around him.
Yeah, I just don't think. I mean, I just don't think the guy was. He didn't have any. I just don't think he brought anything to the table, Luke. I mean,
No.
I know the gimmick was good, but that was about it. Anyways, this isn't about Outback
that
Jack.
football player,
Back to the
that
Bushwhackers.
Australian football player had just been running around a commercial, for the batteries. Whoa!
Right.
A blonde-headed football player.
Yeah, I remember
he was
him.
over on commercials.
Yeah, what was his name? I can't remember, but yeah, he was a big deal.
Yeah, and then he got over so big in the commercials. Then they started having him on all the talk shows.
Right.
And he got so nasty. He'd done everything that he was shipped back to Australia. So they bought Outback in riding on his wave.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Aussie football and rugby, what about your nephew Rip Morgan? How's he doing?
He's good. He's doing good, mate. He's got a company called Kiwi Pro Wrestling in New Zealand. They haven't run for a long time. I don't know what's going on with it.
Huh? So you
I
guys?
haven't been home.
Oh.
I haven't been home for 3 years.
Okay, it's
Oh
been
my
3
gosh.
years. Huh?
Any plans to go anytime soon, or do you want to go?
Well, last time I went home to do this documentary, and that we've got a guy's put about 200 grand. A Kiwi guy who works for NZTV1 has poured 200 grand into doing, and we've got all the guys. Jake, we've got Honky Tonk, we've got Ted DiBiase, I've got Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I've got Roddy Piper, all the Don Morocco, all the interviews with all these guys, and we're trying to get footage of Vince. Vince wants so much money for footage. If I told you how much he wanted, they're trying to bargain with him and that, but he wants double figures per minute, for footage. And we only want 30 seconds from each person to show, because we work with them all in the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just want 30 seconds. But he wants it comes to nearly $500,000, $250,000 or something just for the footage we want.
Well, somebody might. There is this thing called the fair use doctrine, but I won't go there right now.
Yeah. But I know what Dallas did. I know.
Yeah.
Dallas
so
is
you
a
do
good
know.
friend of mine. Yeah, Dally's a good friend of mine because I've been in the nightclub business, and Dally went down New Zealand well before he got in the wrestling business to work in New Zealand in nightclubs.
Wow. Yeah, Dally had Norma Jeans in Fort Myers, Florida. You ever been there?
Yeah, we just talked about it the other day, laying on the bar, putting the girls on the bar, putting shots in their belly button, and around their triply bits on their George Best, their chest, putting shots and licking it off. We just talked about it, him and me, the other day.
So that's what comes up in the conversation when you reconnect with those guys.
No, we're talking about nightclubs back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that's when I was in the nightclub business in New Zealand when I first came back after my first tour over here. We had the Commodores before they were even big time.
Oh.
We had Wolfman Jack work for us. We had a lot of people over there, and then we brought Dally over. Dally was a great man as a front man in the nightclub for bringing people, and he knew all the gimmicks to draw people. You know what I mean?
He sure did, man, and he still does. That's for sure.
Yeah, he knows how to draw people, get people. And it's great to see him going to the Hall of Fame. That's how we talked. I called him up to congratulate him, and that's how we got talking.
Hey, speaking of Dally, and it's awesome. Like, I've already talked a lot about how amazing it is for that Dallas is going in the Hall of Fame. Deserves it as much as anyone. Oh, crap. I just had a huge brain fart.
Oh,
I
that's
know.
all right.
Never mind. Sorry.
Hey, mate,
I'm back on track.
70, and I have them all the time.
I'm back on track. The reason why what made me think of this with Dallas is, are you into DDP yoga at all, Luke?
No, but I do. I couldn't get on my hands and knees due to knee replacements. But I do yoga. I've got his DVDs and everything. But I got a woman that does yoga in the gym every Thursday here, and chair yoga. I do some chair yoga to keep sort of limber.
And you do it on the beach too, right? That's part of the fun thing you guys have at your gym.
No, we have it. We have it on. We have every Thursday. We have it up on the balcony here.
Overlooking the beach,
We
right?
have a class. Yeah, we have classes here, and that every Thursday morning.
That sounds like such kind of a peaceful juxtaposition from this life that you led as a WWE superstar and being on the road all the time. Do you enjoy still traveling and getting out there and working shows and that kind of a thing, or do you prefer to just hang out at the gym now?
Next week I'm in England for 10 days.
Oh, wow. Talk about that.
Yeah, next week I'm working. Here's a good one. I'm working for Paige's dad. You know Paige, the girl in WWE?
Yeah. You're
working for Ricky Knight. I've known Ricky Knight and his wife for maybe 20 years.
Wow.
And I'm going over there to work for Ricky Knight, and then I worked in England, and I was working for Brian Dixon a lot in the 90s after I left WWF.
Yes.
And I used to work against Ricky. They were him and his partner. They were the Legion of Doom.
Oh, they did the
British. They were the British version of the Legion of Doom.
I never
now
knew
he's
that.
By himself,
Like the tribute?
Yes.
And he's got all of his sons working.
Yeah, no, I know his sons, the Hooligans. I love those guys, and they're really hard workers, and they're very popular in the UK. And Scott Hall's doing a lot of work with the Knight family over there. I think he's maybe their matchmaker or something. Yeah. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, no, he's the one that sort of hooked me up.
Oh no! Oh, Scott did. Yeah. Okay.
No, well, he told me, and then he told me about it, and then I ran into Soraya straight away, the mum.
Yes.
And I talked to her, and then I was on the phone with Ricky, and that's how we got around to it.
Oh, very cool. Are you working for any other promotions over there?
No, just for them. I'm there for 2 weekends and during the week I'm doing seminar clinics.
Oh, very good, very good.
Which I do a lot. I still work every weekend on the road here. Not last weekend, but I still work, and I do a lot of seminar clinics. I usually work and do a clinic.
You still have matches, right?
Weekends.
Luke, you still have matches, right? You still get in the ring?
Yes, still work in the ring. Yeah, every weekend, or 3 weekends a month.
Yeah, I've seen, like, the last time we were on a show together, I watched your...
Was the House of Hardcore?
I don't know about that. I think it was, like, something else we did. Roddy was still alive, and that, and I think Marty Jannetty was it. But anyways, the point...
I know, those are shows I had you on.
Yeah.
You and Marty, you against the tag team, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember watching you in the ring, Luke, and you still... And you knew what to do to get... Everything you did got a reaction, and... you didn't do anything, like I said, you didn't do anything that didn't get a reaction. You knew what to do, and the people loved it. And why quit doing that if you still feel good and the people love it,
No. Yeah, it keeps my body limber. I think if I stop doing this, I start seizing up.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you, because you're talking about the chair yoga. Does that mean your body's starting to give out on you a little bit, or?
No, the hips. I used to have to wear a widow's heel.
Yeah.
I'm taking bumps, and I used to come off the corner a lot. I was wearing a corset. You know, one of those body corsets you pull tight, holds your hips into place.
And hold your gut. It also holds your gut in when you refuse to do core work. Luke.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in the 80s I didn't have a gut. Anyhow, early 80s. Anyhow, I wore it then because I was getting slammed and off the crazy things off. You know how you do.
Oh, yeah.
And the rings were harder those days. Fucking early 80s, the rings were like the floor, concrete.
Yeah.
Anyhow, But I've always had sacroiliac problems, so I just do just to get stretching and that. My partner always used to be able to put his hands flat on the mat. You know, I have trouble just touching. If I stand up straight at the moment, just to get the end of my fingers, if I got my knees straight to touch the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Arthritis is in the joints. Fuck, after 50 years in the ring, all that sort of stuff catches up on you.
But your problem is your main issues happen to be your hips. But I remember Butch's ankles were just trashed. Aren't they like fused?
Oh yeah, they were broken playing rugby. He was the tight end hook, tight end prop with the hook in the front row and the scrum. He's had them both now. He's an inch shorter. He's had those both ankles sawn off and put back on there. You know, he's got no movement sideways, but he's got movement forward and back.
Janetti's ankles are like that too. At least one of them for sure.
Hey mate, I tried to set him up with Dallas. You know, I said, I'm going to talk to Dallas. You come down to here, and then I'm taking you to Dallas, and he'll do the thing for you and clean you up. He didn't even, you know, we had a weekend up in Louisiana, and on the way back, I was going to get him to I was going to take him there and get him to do the whole gimmick, and he didn't even arrive down there.
No, hey, at least Jake,
So
people looked at Jake in the same light as they look at Marty. And I mean, I've been there where people have looked at me like that, like you're almost hopeless. And even Jake pulled through. Like Jake, met Dallas halfway. And Scott.
Scott did too.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, Marty. I mean, I love that guy so much, and he's such a wonderful human being. And I just
good heart and a lot of fun.
And
a lot of fun and a good heart.
I just wonder what part of his life was so messed up that, before I ever knew him, that he just can't pull it together, man. It's like he just doesn't want to.
Yeah, him and Sean were the heavy ribbers. When I got there at the start, they got fired 3 times from Vince.
Yeah.
Girls that come up and that and say write on the back of my T-shirts, and they used to write obscene stuff on the back of girls' T-shirts and that. I'm talking about teenage kids.
Yeah.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
And then Vince had to fire them. And Marty used to go AWOL on overseas tours. You remember that?
Oh, sure.
All of a sudden he'd go AWOL and that, and the officer have his passport. Next minute we'd see him back in the States, about a week later.
Yeah, you don't even know how he got back.
He didn't even know how he got back in the States.
Yeah, but I don't know how I got off. Oh, I know, because we were talking about the ankles, Butch's ankles.
Mm-hmm. Marty's ankle. Marty's got one ankle just as bad.
Yeah, exactly. But what made me think of this is you guys wore those crazy rubber boots in the ring the whole time you were in WWE. No wonder his ankle, and that didn't help his ankles either.
No, but he had tight underneath. He wore those lace-up things that hold your ankles. Things. Yeah, they were from the shearing sheds. Over here, you call them Wellingtons. But we call them gumboots at home. That's where you grab the sheep by the back legs, drive them toward the cliffs. Either they back into you, or they go over the cliffs. So they back into you. They can't get away from you. That's why the Kiwis are called sheep shaggers.
Yeah, I heard. I used to always hear people use that expression, call somebody a sheep shagger. And you guys had this.
Now shagging is, you know what shagging is,
yeah,
right?
Of course. Yeah. Having sex with sheep.
No. Shagging is having sex with anybody.
Yeah, no, sheep shaggers are having sex with sheep.
And the old down under saying is,
we've gone there. We've gone there.
You're out picking up Sheilas.
Right.
And you know what a Sheila's are.
Yes, a female.
A woman from down under.
Yes.
And you're out picking up Sheilas and shagging them.
Yeah.
We're learning so much today.
Crazy,
right,
yes.
Hey, you guys I've never seen you guys in a bad mood. I never saw you or Butch in a bad mood, ever. And I'm sure you had your moments, but you never showed it in front of us.
Yeah.
You never showed it in front of us.
No, we tried to keep by ourselves, travel by ourselves too, most of the time, so we didn't get tied up into any of the Gaga.
Right.
You know, but we enjoyed the Gaga. We enjoyed being around. I got a few stories, you know, with Sean and Marty, and what was the girl now who we had
Sherry?
there when you first arrived?
Sherry Martel?
Yeah. The trip from Nevada to Dallas, and Marty wrote it up about 10 years later. I told a lot of people about it, you know, but it's a long story. But you know, when we arrived in fucking in Dallas, and that the FBI were there, and they come on the plane when they landed, and handcuffed all the guys, not the wrestlers, the other people.
Yeah, what happened?
Hey, the boys got away. The old powder and the drink.
Oh, the GHB.
Yeah, GHB. We got on there. Okay, short story. How long we got to go?
You're fine.
Just roll with it.
We're in Nevada Airport. We're in the airport in Nevada. What's the other?
McLaren?
Not in Vegas.
Oh.
Not in Vegas.
Oh.
What's the other town?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Reno?
Yeah, it's down like a Reno,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an old cowboy town. We're
Okay.
in Reno. And
Carson
then we're flying
City.
back to Dallas.
Virginia City.
Sunday night. All the kids, you know, in Reno and Las Vegas, you've got all the one-armed bandits right at the gate.
Yes.
You know, in the airlines.
Yeah, the
And
slot
so at the
machines.
gates, all these kids are playing. All the kids are playing, and so we get on the plane now, and we've got that 5 hours down to Dallas, or 4 hours down to Dallas, from 1 to 6 or 7, and then we get on the plane, and you know, it's a red eye. Everyone, the waitresses come around, they get you a drink and that, and in the back row on the right-hand side, facing the front, and the back row is Sherry, Marty, and Sean. I'm 3 rows up on the left side, 4 rows up on the left side. 3 businessmen are on the left side in the back row, and I'm maybe 5 rows up. And the 2 rows up in front of me are these guys from college shooters. They're 2 rows on either side. Then maybe a row. There's 6 of them anyhow, 6 of them. Plane gets up in the air. They get up in the aisle and they start drinking, standing up drinking. And Marty and Sean get up, and Sherry, they get up, and of course they bring up, it was in powder form then.
Yes.
It was before the liquid and the pills.
Yeah.
They bring out the thing, and these kids look back and they see them putting a spoon in each glass, and they say, what the hell is that? That's a little something and that. It just makes you relax. We've done everything. We've done angel dust, cocaine, blah, blah, blah. Usual college student,
Yes.
23, 24, 22, 23, and knows everything, and they're juiced up to hell. And we've done everything, and they, of course, Sean says in his quiet little ways, we'll try some. Put the spoon in each one's glass. 20 minutes later, 25 minutes later, they're up again, and you know, the students, they've got their last drinks from, because the hostess has turned the lights down.
Yeah.
Got the last drink, we don't feel a thing. So Sean and Marty get up again. This time they fucking put heaps in each one's glass. Within 10 minutes, they're all, once passed out. The back of the plane, the hostess stand is up in the middle of the plane, between economy and first class. Back of the plane is 3 toilets, you know, like a V. 2, one on either side and one in the back. So the back door's open, and the guy's sitting in the toilet, and he's leaning forward. Oh man, he's pooped all over the ground there. The seat over on the left in front of me, there's one guy laying down right over 3 seats, and there's 2 guys sitting in front of him, one hanging over towards the window, one hanging out. On my side, there's a chick and another guy hanging there. Okay, the word goes up to the front. Kerry, Von Erich, and the Warrior up front.
Yeah.
Next minute, the Warrior comes down, and he's got the clippers going. You can hear him walk down the plate. First guy he hits is laying down the seat. He shaves one side. They've all got long hair. He shaves one side of his head, right through the middle, right to the bone, and all complete one side. So the other side's just hanging from the middle down over one ear, you know, but he's laying on a seat. Shave him down. They take the eyebrows off some, and and blah, blah, blah. The girl is sitting there. She's got a tank top on. They snip two sides of the tank tops, and the tank top pops down, the breasts hang out. Now, the guy in the back,
not very
he's
good.
got his,
Not very nice.
he's sitting on the back seat, and his head's hanging forward. So they go and do a monk job on him. They take it right to above his ears, a ball, right just above his ears. So he's got, from his ears, the top of his ears down, he's got hair, and from there right around, he's got a dome glowing in the dark.
He looks like Gargamel
And
from the Smurfs.
So they got about 4 of them with their hair done, 2 of them with their brows, and the girl with no brows and the top down. Top down. The stewardess comes down and sees it all and goes straight back up. We're all sitting quietly in the seats, passed out, all that. She goes back up. When we land in fucking Dallas, the plane lands with they were all told, stay in your seats, please. And that's when the FBI come in, cut these people off, and handcuff them and cut them off the plane. And we walk off.
Wow. That's incredible.
That was
Ladies and gentlemen.
That was insane.
That.
Now, the people in the back row, the guys in the back row, businessmen, said that was the most entertaining flight they've ever been on.
See, people always talk about the plane ride from hell. That right there puts a plane ride from hell to shame. And I've told people before, look, before 9/11, commercial plane rides used to be from hell. And that's an example of it right there. That's amazing work.
Yeah.
And nobody
There's
died.
a lot of ones over to England with the shoes, but anyhow, apart from that, there's another one too. We're doing Sacramento. We're living in San Francisco. This is the short one, and I have to close.
Yes.
I got people out here. Okay, we're doing Sacramento. We're doing Sacramento, 80 miles from San Francisco, right?
Yes.
Kerry and the Warrior come over in the limousine, right?
Kerry Von Erich.
Got a driver.
Yeah.
And we work the show, and on the way back, the driver says to Kerry, "What are you doing in the back?" And they say, "No, we're just doing a bit of GHB." And he was a smart ass too. He had the captain's hat on, dressed in the suit. He was a limousine driver, from a limousine firm, a real big limousine firm in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they dropped some of him. Within 20 minutes, he's fucking all over the road. They tell him to pull over. They pull him out of the front seat and shove him in the back seat. They can't get him in, and he shits himself going in the back seat. They jam him in the back seat of the, just push him into the back seat of the limousine, right? And now the Warriors driving the limousine, Kerry's in the passenger seat, and they're talking to home base and that. And they find out where the owner of the company is, what his address is, right?
Yeah.
They go and drive this guy, the driver of the limousine. They drive to the owner of the company, and they put him at 1 or 2 in the morning. They put him out on the front lawn with his pants full of shit, and leave him there. Wow. And they drive back in the morning. Vince gets a call. The call comes to them. Where's the limo? And they said, "Oh, it's been left at the airport, and there's such and such a lot, and the keys are under the tire."
Oh,
and
God.
that was that story there from that guy. I don't know whether he got fired or whatever, but he woke up in the morning and saw his driver on the front lawn. His pants were full of shit.
Oh, God. Wow.
That was in the 80s.
Don't take GHB.
These are the ribs.
Oh, Luke.
Wow.
I thank you so much for sharing your time with us, especially these stories.
Yeah.
I've never heard them. I honestly, and I've heard pretty much every story there is. Like those two, I'm not familiar.
I got some really good stories another time from the heart territory from the early 70s.
Oh, well, please.
Some really good ones.
Please come back on, Luke. You're an amazing guest.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug before you go?
Again, for the third time in 4 years, Clearwater Beach has been rated as #1 beach in North America.
Oh, yeah.
So if you folks coming down over to Clear, I know you're on the West Coast, laying in that LA sun. But if you come over to the east and want to be on the Gulf of Mexico, Clearwater Beach, crystal clear water, white sugary sand, and we are right on the beach here on Mandalay Avenue, Clearwater Beach Fitness, and right below me is Hogan's Beach Shop.
Nice.
So pop in and see us, and you might catch Kerry. And Terry was in here working out today. The Hulkster, should say, was in here working out. You might catch him in there.
Nice. Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Luke.
Okay, mate.
I miss you, man, and I hope
I'm
to see
over
you soon.
next week working for the Night Family. WAW. Go to WAW UK, and you see us on the road from the 10th onwards over for the company.
Excellent. World
Yeah.
Association of Wrestling. Yeah, it's
Interesting, yes.
yeah.
Okay, folks, good to be there, Sean. Good to talk to you, Christy.
Yes,
And
have a great trip.
It's out from Butcher. Whoa!
Hey! Thanks for the house, mate. Thanks for the house.
Yeah, thank you for the house, Sean.
Bye-bye,
Gotta love it.
Luke.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
You
oh
know
my
the
God.
deal, right? We were telling you about, like, okay, it's customary, like, to when somebody's a main event in the show and they draw a good house, it's customary to go thank them for the house. Well, the Bushwhackers would do that to everyone, to the main event, when business was on its ass, and it was like a joke. It was like, yeah, thanks for the house, mate. You're really drawing well. So it was just a running joke, you know? Yeah.
I love that. Wow. So that and so many great tidbits, and we've got more coming up for you. Stay tuned to AfterBuzz TV.
Hey guys, Maria Menounos here. We want to let you know about my new show on SiriusXM Stars Channel 109. It's called Conversations with Maria, and it's live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Go to conversationswithmaria.com for more info. Buzz you later.
X-Pac 12360 coming back at you. Just had a little chat with Bushwhacker Luke. And next week, we're going to have on the show the exotic Adrian Street. He's a friend of yours, right?
He's not a friend of mine, but I wouldn't call him a friend. We're colleagues. I haven't seen him since the Dallas days, GWF, when I was like 19 years old.
That's a little while ago.
Yes. And, you know, he actually had cancer, and he beat cancer many years ago. And I think he's still pretty healthy. So, and I'm really excited about this because you weren't really familiar with Adrian, really, right? A lot of people aren't.
Once you gave me the name and I stared Googling, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of so much good stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. Yes. You know, it's just, I mean, people can Google Adrian
But he
Street
was
right now.
more than a wrestler, to say the least.
Yes, and he was the first one to ever have a wrestling album. He wrote all his own stuff. Just amazing stuff.
That's what I remember. I remember the Rock and Wrestling. I had it on VHS tape. I have it on DVD now. Where he sings "I'm in love with me."
Yeah. And imagine what I could do to you, and Sweet Transvestite with the broken nose, and
These are song titles?
Oh yeah. Sure.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be checking those out.
And they're very catchy. They're very catchy. But I don't want to move ahead too fast and not really just give huge props to Bushwhacker Luke just now for such an amazing interview, or conversation. I mean, what
really
amazing stories. Those, I guarantee you, a couple of those have never been told in public.
Listen, if you haven't heard them.
Well, I did. Actually, the plane ride one, I did hear. It wasn't
without
as much
the juicy
detail.
details.
Not as many. Yes.
I feel like it was all in the juicy details for that one.
Especially.
The story is so much, has so much to do with the storyteller. Yeah. You know, and what a great storyteller Luke is.
Absolutely. Oh, we had so much fun. Thank you again to Luke for hanging out with us via telephone today. And you guys want to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, I'm sure, because we'll tell you who's coming up next week. We give you some fun behind the scenes pics and videos. So make sure you go to facebook.com/xpac12360 show. Hit that thumbs up button. And we are on Instagram at xpac12360. Also, you can get your t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com. Go to Sean Waltman's store and get your X-Pac 12360 t-shirt. And please, tweet us, Instagram us, send us a photo. Hashtag that stuff so we can show it on the show.
And one more thing, I'll be at the big event this weekend on Saturday in New York. So I forgot to mention that, sorry.
We'll make sure we throw the details up on that one. Okay. We'll throw it on our social media for sure. And you guys can always hit me up at Christy Reports. Love to hear from you. Jimbo?
Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth. Buy my documentary, The Young Bucks 2 Sweet Journey, at highspots.com. Don't forget to get your tickets for the Click Reunion.
That's right.
At WrestleCon, WrestleMania weekend. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Don't miss it. Top tier is probably almost sold out. So if you can afford it, get that one first before it does sell out, and then move on from there. But definitely don't miss that.
You're a good salesman.
I try.
I like that.
All right, everyone. You guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you and talk to you next week right here on X-Pac 12360.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Phil Svitek, Keven Undergaro, show producer Jimbo Frank, managing editor of AfterBuzz Wrestling Christy Olson, and managing producer of AfterBuzz Wrestling Mark Bidonica, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Feel free to like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at TheRealXpac, and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com. This has been a presentation of the AfterBuzz TV Network. Buzz you later.